Welcome back to Basic Bible Introduction with Dan Tarr. And we're going to start in Genesis chapter 1, verse 9. It says, "And God said, Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so." And notice when God says something, it happens. It doesn't happen like what he said. It happens. When God declares something to be so, it's going to be so. And we, as beings, not gods, but beings of a temporal nature, ought to respond to God's absolutes and accept them for our own life. Otherwise, that which is not so means we're living in a false reality. It means we're living with a false hope. Verse 10 says, "And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit of the tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day." Notice that none of this is an accident. God is creating a world that sustains itself and repopulates itself at a mature state. Evolutionists would have us believe that all of this is by chance, by the initiatory being or existence of an amoeba or some single cell organism from which we all derived. And yet there are so many holes in that argument, it's not even funny. Because what transitional form could sustain itself? And yet it's very much explained here that God created a thing at a mature state so it would reproduce itself. Continuing on, verse 14. "And God said, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for seasons and for days and years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. And he made stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day." God set up the heavens to declare his glory, as it says in Psalms. What about the sun declares God's glory? Well, notice, in and of itself, its nature is fire and light and heat, that which should consume itself, but it never does. The very power exists to stay in the sky because of God's declaration and no other reason. And yet it does not reflect any glory but its own. However, that which is in the sky to be the light in the night only reflects the glory of the sun. And we too can look at that picture and see that humans can be a light in the darkness if they simply reflect the light of the sun. Now I'm talking about the light of God's sun. And the stars declare his handiwork. You know, the heavens are filled with angels that God created as ministering spirits, Hebrews says. And they declare God's glory just like the stars. And our lights, just like the stars, to bring clarity to God's word, not their own. They say, "Holy, holy, holy," not about themselves, but as Isaiah says, about the God who sits on the throne. Verse 20 says, "And God said, Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the firmament of heaven. And God created great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let fowl multiply in the earth. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day." God allows that which he created to dwell in what we already provided for them. that which they could not provide for themselves, their own biosphere. God made that perfectly for them. And God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, the beasts of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and every thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And we're going to stop with that last verse, with that last word that says good. When the God declares something good, he's like bringing light into existence. He doesn't have to create darkness. When there's good, there an opposing force is evil. And so when God declares something good, it's perfect. It's good for us. It's good for that which he made. It's good for his creation. And it is there as an absolute truth and reality. Whereas everything else that is not good and evil is there as a false reality, to bring a distraction from that which is good. And that's going to set the pace and the setting for later chapters. I hope you'll join us later as we continue to study basic Bible doctrines and basic Bible introduction. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.